And so ideally, when you come here, you're coming here to develop into your best self and to become a high impact person. For me, to learn with purpose is to seek the why behind what I'm doing.
When it comes to learning with purpose, I honestly think that nursing school is like the definition of that, right? It's almost like, since day one of the quarter, you're getting prepared to go to the hospital. And for me, literally week one, they throw you in there. And since that day, like, they continue to build you up to have that idea of learning with purpose. I even remember the first week of nursing school, they told us simply to go talk to a patient. We were practicing therapeutic communication. And I still remember to this day, this was almost 2.5 to 3 years ago at this point, the conversation that I had with my very first patient. And I think that kind of like hits the point of, in nursing school, and as someone who's went through nursing school, you always have something to do. You always have something to read. You always have something to study. And so for me, it was such a challenge because I didn't really like that. But because they involved us in the hospital, because I got to have those hands-on experiences with patients all the time, by being able to apply what I learned in nursing school to how I was able to care for my patients and being able to apply that care and make their outcomes better, it encouraged me to study harder. It encouraged me to continue to be a better student in order to, provide better care for my patients. And I mean, if there's anything such as, learning with purpose, I feel like that's like the perfect definition of it.
In the last several years, that opening up with just a short inspirational message. Often I'll share my favorite text. Here's what's been inspiring me this week. Just, they wait upon the Lord will renew their strength. And there have been times at the end of the quarter where we have student feedback. And there have been kids who have just said, hey, that's what I needed to hear for that day. And it was really meaningful. And hearing that feedback from the students, it's that loop where you're like, okay, wait, I need to really be intentional about it and not forget to engage that way. And recently a student reached out to me and we were talking about life in general, and it was great to catch up. And then they said, hey, I just wanted to share with you that you said a couple things and did a couple things that really were life-changing for me. And they were in orchestra. And self-confessed later on to me that they had a hard time sight reading. They memorized their orchestra parts so that they could play along, and they were always an asset to the ensemble, so they found their workaround. But apparently during one rehearsal, I had told them that just because you can't read music doesn't mean you can't be a musician and a very successful one. And that, for some reason, stuck to them. And when this person told me that, I was just like, these moments, we don't know how what we say will impact another person, but because we are in a relationship, it can be transformative.
I experienced nothing but love at PUC the whole time I was there, from my professors to, again, the mentor teachers that I worked with, the other students around me. And I think I was really influenced by that, to know that I was fully loved by my teachers. And so that really has, impacted how I teach now. My professors were always just there for me and for anything that I ever needed from them.
And they told me that they were so happy to be engaged in finally doing a career that totally matched who they are as a person. And it was these interactions outside of the class, well, in orchestra, but not necessarily, directly I'm teaching you something. It's this engagement, and the privilege of being at a small school is that having those relationships where we can impact each other, because just as much as I impact a student, they impact me.
The students have to know that they are loved first and know how to love each other before you can teach them anything academic. And I don't think that I would focus on that quite as much if I hadn't had that early influence and always have that in the back of my mind.
The way I see is rising in faith is like a child's journey. Well, we are part of that journey to grow.
One of the reasons why I accepted the call to come here is because I have a desire to see young people rise in their faith or grow in their faith. And so one of the things that we have been working on and had been worked on just a little bit before I arrived here is this concept of what we call the Lab Church. And what the Lab Church is, it is an opportunity for every single student on this campus to come and get their hands digging in and being a part of the worship culture here on this hilltop and in this church.
Sometimes we have boxed ourselves into, if I'm gonna do ministry, I have to do pastoral work, I have to be a pastor, or I need to be a missionary. But God is looking for all fields. He's looking for people that will stand up for Him, people that will show the love of Christ out of all fields.
And so whether you are a greeter at the door or running audio visual or preaching a sermon or leading a praise team, or even if you are interested in finances, we have space for you to utilize the gifts and talents that God has blessed you with.
I would love them to feel that they were trained how to engage the Word of God more, how to engage their communities with spirituality more, and how to have a true relationship with Jesus Christ.
When students leave Pacific Union College, that wherever they may go back to have their church and be a part of that community, that they will be able to understand how a church functions and be able to move things forward and to help that congregation grow in faith and rise in faith.
Serve with love. This is sort of the call of Christianity, and I feel like this is a place, Pacific Union College is a place where this is happening.
One of the potential benefits about going to Adventist College is the students have a lot of opportunities to volunteer in mission trips, either short-term mission trips somewhere or long-term mission trips in which they are a student missionary serving as a teacher or healthcare worker or something like that. And it was a deeply moving experience for them that basically changed the trajectory of their lives. What I try to do is I try to take a biology class with me that I combine on a mission trip, because when we go to these countries, there's often a lot of wildlife and plants and other animals that we could see that are unique that you can't see around here. So it's a good educational experience, as well as an opportunity to serve other people and learn about how they live and to appreciate more what we have and to try to do something to help make the world a better place for someone other than ourselves.
Being a biology major, a science major, I saw this opening in Palau to be a science teacher, and that really called me because, one, I would be doing something that I know about, that I'm studying, and like the impact you could do with the kids in that short amount of time if you were teaching or if you're doing something else. But it was a really hard decision to make initially because it took several years for me to realize that this is what I want to do. But after my junior year, I realized how valuable, important, or how much influence I could have somewhere else in this world. And I was given the chance to teach chemistry, physics, health, marine biology as an elective as well. And I taught those subjects to about 80 kids. I see what I did over there, how my students are progressing and how they're in college and how they're getting education, and that gives me motivation on a day-to-day basis to do the same thing here where I'm teaching at PUC Prep. And through that experience, it opened many doors as I came back. So not only did the service aspect help me a lot, but also moving forward in my career life, it helped me a lot become who I am now.
Learn with purpose, rise in faith, and serve with love. At Pacific Union College. Learn more about us at puc.edu.